Alright, so we're looking at the top games released on Steam, week 25, the 16th to the 22nd of June 2025. There were 576 games released during the week. We're only looking at games that are in English or have English translation, so if it looks like this, I can't look at it. No, any of that. No games released this week as version 1.0 that peaked ages ago. Sorry, it released this week, but it peaked 10 months ago, right? And then this week it only had 43 concurrent players. But if it releases to 1.0 and peaks, then it's included. So this game is included because it did peak 7 years ago, but it also peaked this week, as it was released this week into version 1.0. I'm going to go through the top 10 games by peak player count for games released this week. So it has to be released this week. And this is the top 10 according to SteamDB peak concurrent player count. It's not what I think. It's not what game is good, it just shows what people were playing during the week. See, I can't even spell. This is me, right? And then at the end, we'll look at the top rated, the follows, and the player count for the week. I can't do wishlist because it's not public. At number 10, we have Parcel Simulator. Inspect and process parcels and packages in this parcel inspection simulator. Receive and sort deliveries, examine labels for mistakes, and automate to maximize warehouse efficiency. Upgrade and expand your warehouse to build your parcel empire. Currently $16.19 with the 10% off. Had a peak play count of 3,617 and has a 93% positive overall. The developer is Danson Digital. They don't have any other games listed on Steam. Danson Digital is an indie game dev studio, and they are a solo dev. I can't find what country they're from, but there is a great interview here. It's like a written interview on Game Rant. Alright, so reviews. So positive from Red Spark. I only played for a few minutes, but I'm already hooked. Sorting and inspecting parcels is super satisfying, and I love how quickly the game introduces new tools and upgrades to keep things interesting. It's chill but engaging, and I can already see myself sinking hours into it. I really hope multiplayer gets added in the future. Running a warehouse with friends would be so much fun. Exactly, working in real life? No, working in this game, absolutely. Elsa Dick with a positive. I absolutely love the game. It's super engaging and the graphics are impressive. Watching the parcels move around and managing them was surprisingly satisfying and fun. Maddie Stacks with a not recommended. I feel like this is an early access game that they decided to release as a finished product. I had things like conveyors fall through the floor, grabbing the package is a bit off and gets frustrating from time to time. If I was you, I would wait a little while to see if bugs and additional features get added. And Mora with a negative. The game is good except for the building system completely ruins the game. You have to order piece by piece, comes in boxes, and then you have to unpack and place them one by one, running to the delivery truck to get some more. Just add a building mode so people can build the damn automation without all these extra steps. Alright, at number 9 for the week, we have BitCraft Online. Join thousands of players in a true single-world MMORPG. Carve out a cozy nook, master a player-driven economy, or band together to transform the ancient wilderness into thriving cities. Currently $29.99, had an all-time peak of 4,217 players, and sitting at 78% positive. This is from Clockwork Laboratories. They don't have any other games listed on Steam. Based on LinkedIn, they have a team of 35 and are based in California in the US, but when you go to their homepage, it looks like a team of 27 listed there. No photos of the full team, but there is this of the guys at GDC 2024. Almost done. We met so many awesome people and had great conversations about our game. There's also a presentation at GDC, you can see on the GDC Vault, database-oriented design, why we built our game inside a database. Alright, so on to reviews. So, Yong, I've been playing this game since closed alpha. The core concept is amazing. It's a massive one-server MMO with empires that don't rely on PvP. The focus is on in-game politics and Discord server politics. The game is very relaxing. It's not very friendly to solo players at first, but once you join an empire, you can mostly play on your own while helping the empire from time to time. You can still find a job without joining an empire, so being a nomad is definitely an option. I recommend this game to anyone looking for a similar niche. The dev team behind it is passionate about making the game. They're also working on a backend called Spacetime DB that will help indie MMO developers build their games more easily. Tellerreal with a positive. Unlike many other reviews, I've only discovered the game very recently. The best way I can describe it is Albion Online without ganking. To some people that sounds boring, and to others that sounds exciting. If you're in the latter camp, this is for you. And another positive from Bunny, fun and satisfying gameplay. So far it seems like there's always something to do. I haven't joined a civilization yet, and it's very fun. I would love WASD controls, the friends list would be awesome, and tutorial quests were slightly difficult to follow along with. Overall, I recommend this game, it's fun and got cozy vibes. RIP MM with a not recommended. I want to make this clear, I do like this game, but I like the idea of the game more. I'm willing to change this review to a positive, but the reason I cannot is the game's premise was that players got to create their own purpose in the game. You got to specialize in a skill and create a piece of land with your own identity and purpose. But the upgrading system of this game means there is no originality of towns. You have to upgrade the town just to upgrade your stations. I want to be able to create a small hunting lodge with leather working stations so that I can trade out leather to nearby towns or passers-by. But I can't, because unless I want to stay at leather tier 2, I have to incorporate a large amount of other people to create a crowded and a bustling city. If this game were to work for me, the small land claim needs to be considered. Station upgrades need to be separated from town upgrades, and NPC tasks need to be more reasonable and to be able to replenish much faster. Alright, at number 8 we have Cast and Chill. A cozy, idle and active fishing game where you explore serene lakes, rivers and oceans. Catch rare fish, upgrade your gear and reel in legendary catches, all with your loyal companion by your side. Currently $11.99 during summer sale, and sitting at a peak of 4,447 and a very positive 93%. The developer is Wombat Brawler. They don't have any other games listed on Steam. They previously released this in early access, but it's no longer listed on Steam. It's called Crash Course Builder, and this was a few years ago. This is part of the Canadian game sale, but the developer is not Canadian. They're a solo dev called Brendan Watts, and they are from Australia, from Brisbane, Australia. Positive reviews from Hypercat. Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, teach a man to cast and chill and he'll chill for a lifetime. Beautiful art, a relaxed atmosphere and gameplay that's engaging with the option to idle and chill. It feels like you're fishing inside of a Bierstadt painting. The amount of work it must have taken to add this much detail both above and below the water is incredible. It's relaxing to watch day turn to night and get lost in the pixels. I've been playing since the demo came out last month and the devs clearly listened to the feedback. You can tell a lot of love went into this game and it's well worth your time. Positive from Revent, several lakes each with a day and night cycle, fish put up a fight and there is a steady supply of upgrades to aim for. 50 types of fish and a journal to keep track of their locations, lure techniques and preferred bait, runs great in half screen and even supports an idle mode. Certainly earns the chill in its name. Electro Fox with a negative. I feel like it has the potential to be a great game in the future, but right now it's just boring. The fishing mechanic feels very flawed, taking into consideration that the best rod in the game, while fully upgraded, has a lot of trouble catching anything beyond medium fish. So catching big fish feels like gambling because they can just pull until they let go of the bait and you can do absolutely nothing about it. There's a lot to be done for this game to become enjoyable, but the main thing is making the rod upgrades actually useful because they feel pretty weak and borderline useless. Adding some background story would also be useful to make the game feel more immersive and make up for the lack of eye-catching mechanics presented in the game. Maybe adding fishing events would be cool, or maybe some multiplayer. I don't know, but aside from the great graphics, this game has nothing that makes it stand out, and the main genre of the game, fishing, falls pretty flat. Overall, a nice experience if you just want something to do for a small amount of time without really thinking about it, but if you're someone who's looking for a great story or thinks progression is important for you, this game can become very repetitive and boring quickly. Alright, at number 7 we have Tower Wizard. Help a wizard build and upgrade a wizard tower in this incremental game. Use the tower to study magic, summon spirits, create buildings and influence the world. Currently $2.69 with 10% off and had an all-time current of 5,772 with a 98% positive. That is huge. Developer is Barry Bob. They previously released Magic Archery on Steam, which is a free-to-play game, and that came out in October 2024 and had a 95% percentage as well, and a peak play count of 1,100. Train a commoner to become the greatest archer in this short incremental game. They also have a lot of games on itch. Some of them here, you can see Tower Wizard on there as well, and Magic Archery. I think there's actually more that I cut off. They are a solo dev, but I can't find what country they're from. Topot Cell with a positive, a true successor to Magic Archery. This is a very enjoyable few hours through a charming idle game when you can be active or leave it and progress at your own pace. Things unlock smoothly and always elevate the game. It took 5 hours in total to complete, and I could keep going with more upgrades. This isn't meant to be endless, always chasing a goal you'll never reach. It's a finite experience to be enjoyed and conquered, and it's priced accordingly. Play Magic Archery first, and if you think I want more of that, well, Tower Wizard has you covered. Knowles with a positive. Magic Archery was the first incremental game I ever played, and I searched tirelessly for one like it. I found the demo of this game and have been waiting for the release ever since. I thoroughly enjoy how Barry Bob makes his incremental games. There really isn't any others like it that I've been able to find. They're great. This game is great. The pacing is good for a game you can complete in under 12 hours. There is enough complexity to keep you thinking and choosing your strategy, but not so much that it overwhelms. It isn't a game that you wait for hours for something to happen. If you read everything and plan properly, there is always something you can do to get a boost and reach the goals. In fact, if you're waiting around, you may be missing something, so keep an eye out. Ice Scout with a negative. Neat pixel art, but the game follows the same formula many others and doesn't introduce anything interesting. And Trehek with a not recommended. Pretty fun but short. Completed in just over 5 hours. Would have expected more content. Yeah, it's $2, so. Anyway. Alright, at number 6 we have Three Kingdoms Mushouden. Set on the eve of the Yellow Turban Rebellion, you can play as an original character or a historical warlord, building forces and forging alliances. Whether you choose to be a lone wanderer or rally famous generals, use your knowledge and wisdom to reshape history. Sitting at 2249 and had a peak player count of 6,033 and sitting at 70% positive. Now I know it's not currently in English on screen, but it is translated in English. The developer is Nan-based studio. They don't have any other games released on Steam. There's no other information on the dev that I could find other than that they are from China. A recommended from Poems. This is a mixture of Battle Brothers and Mountain Blade. It's got active skills and fights take place in real time, so damage in battle spikes both ways, so it's not unusual for your soldiers to go down. When units fall in battle, they roll on a random injury, and it is possible for random units to have crippling injuries. I've not seen a permanent injury occur on a hero unit yet, so I'm unsure if it affects them. It is a little hard to form a solid base at the beginning using the default difficulty settings. That said, there is different settings to make the game easier or harder at the start, so tweak at your leisure. So tactics are very simple with only cavalry and infantry tactics. Overall, it was an entertaining early experience, and I'm curious how the game will feel towards the end game with many active skills flying around. So that was at 5 hours they left that review, and they're up to 51. Yandel with a positive. A mix of Mountain Blade and Kenshi and Battle Brothers in the Three Kingdoms era, with real-time auto battle, auto chess, RTS elements. I like going around recruiting historical figures and building up my warband, doing my own thing. There's lots of difficulty settings. Some game balance should probably be tweaked in service of fun, like move speed and horses. If you give your general a horse but not his squad, he's going to run ahead, get surrounded and mogged. Management gets a bit fiddly towards the end game. You have more than 50 to 100 characters, and managing their stats and gear gets a bit of a chore. Lord of Murder with a not recommended. Pretty mediocre, seem to only be 3 or 4 different types of missions, so you just go between towns in a loop. The combat system is incredibly simple but also very opaque. You just spam skills as soon as they come off cooldown with no real idea of what they're doing. The top-down perspective makes it harder to tell what is happening, and the enemies are not easily distinguishable from your allies. Translation isn't amazing, so it's difficult to tell what's happening exactly, and the few story events I got before getting bored seemed unrelated to each other. Text also occasionally goes off screen or gets cut off. The fastest possible game speed in both battle and the overmap are only barely faster than normal speed, and especially on the overmap nothing happens except on quests, so the speed just feels painful. Right, at number 5 we have Lens Island, an open world survival crafting game for 1 to 8 players, blending intense dungeon crawling and ARPG combat with peaceful farming and creative building. Take on quests and explore a vast, procedurally generated world full of danger and discovery. Currently in 1949 and had a peak player count of 15,912 and sitting at 81% positive. The developer is Flow Studio, and they don't have any other games released on Steam. And it's another solo dev from Brisbane, Australia. This is the dev here. He put out this video in June 2025, so when the game was released. After 8 years in the making, Lens Island is now out on Steam. To celebrate, we launched a free weekend where you can play the full game for free until the 23rd. An absolutely wholesome post. It's a free weekend at launch just because he wanted people to play it. There's also an awesome video on the Lens Island YouTube channel that goes basically over the full 6 years. So apologies, I said he was a solo dev, so he started as a solo dev, and then he brought in his uni lecturer, Martin, to assist, and it looks like they ended up having a team of 3 or 4. A positive from Rob: this game has received more love than a golden retriever at a kid's party. About 4 or 5 years ago, when I played Lens Island for the first time, it had just 1 town and 1 dungeon. Since then, I've been watching it evolve from a part-time, almost hobby-like project into a lovingly crafted indie release. I think everybody can get a good grasp of the game just from the screenshots, so I'll just add some points beyond that. Outside of visiting dungeons, the game can be played at your own pace, at all times. There is never a feeling of a timer running, even the day and night cycle doesn't interfere with your gameplay in any annoying way. Every game mechanic that proved unenjoyable or even mildly annoying has been improved and polished over the years. The crafting progression is easy to follow and always gives you enough tasks to work on. Movement and combat are easy to learn and tough to master. Lens Island allows you to progress however you wish. You can start by just building, farming and selling in peace for weeks over months to make enough money for it to be a non-issue before taking on any islands, giving you an easier time over the course of the game. Or you can choose to take on tougher challenges early and focus more on improving your combat and movement skills. I'm now at 457 hours, it's now up to 495, with more to come on a game that cost me $20 in early access. I couldn't have asked for more. For me, this game is a masterpiece. May you all enjoy it as I did. And a negative from Milieu. I really don't understand that there are so many positive reviews for this game. At the beginning it was fun, the farming and building mechanics are nice, and the art style is cute. However, movement and combat is annoyingly difficult, especially when getting further into the game. However, the story, which is shown when you start the game, has no meaning at all. Every time you hit, you automatically move forward, which makes positioning yourself very annoying. There is absolutely no point talking to villagers, progressing with farming, hunting or fishing. Only mining seems to have significance for upgrading weapons. More development is needed. The only reason I played this many hours is because I was expecting the story to still lead somewhere. Alright, at number 4 is SCUM. Now, I know this is a super old game, but it released into 1.0 this week and had a huge concurrent player count, well, 4th place player count, so that's why it's included. Traverse punishing environments, looting, crafting and evading the constant threats to your life. The unprecedented levels of character customization and progression are your ultimate tools for survival. Currently $44.99. So as I said, the release to 1.0 had a peak last week of 37,000, which brought it up to 4th place, but its real peak was 6.8 years ago, which is ridiculous, at 68,000. It's sitting at 74% positive. The developer is Gamepires. Now these guys released Gas Guzzlers Extreme and Gas Guzzlers Combat Carnage, like car combat games way back when. This is 2012 and 2013. SCUM was developed by a Croatian studio, which we'll talk about in a sec, and it was bought out or acquired by Jagex, who do RuneScape. It was initially released by Devolver under the Early Access program. The game is described as a prison riot survival game and entered Steam Early Access August 2018, and the full release was the one we're talking about, 17th of June 2025. So the dev, like I said, is from Croatia and a team of about 70. This is the team here in 2021, and again, it looks like they go to the exact same spot, what's that tower there, in 2022. Right, so positives. Monsieur Spike, again, this is a recent review posted 18th of June. This game tries to simulate everything: hunger, thirst, metabolism, vitamins. It doesn't ask if you're hungry. It wants to know what you ate, how many calories it had, whether you chewed it properly, and when you plan to excrete it. It's not for everyone, but if you like deep survival mechanics, base building, and open-ended gameplay with a touch of realism and a dash of absurdity, SCUM is a wild ride worth taking. Also, don't forget to poop regularly. Alright, Feb with a positive. The 1.0 wow factor. Well, still a good game, yet the hype for the new launch and everything is very disappointing to say the least. Nothing has changed, still half the content is not available, and not a surprise, a new DLC to bang you for more money. No, hey, thank you guys for sticking with us for so long, just give us more money on a pack that is not worth the value. The character customization, nothing. The SUV from back in the day, gone. Overall excitement of the 1.0 launch, I'm not impressed at all. I'd rather go back to the days when I fell in love with the game, when we could do all the things before all the fantastic new changes and empty hope promises were given. I'm still going to lose hours in this game, but what a disappointment. So, oh my god. Oh shit. 3,372 hours at the time of review, and now has 3,394 hours. Feb. The animal. Alright. Critical with a not recommended after 1,600 hours. Yep, check my hours. I've played this game inside out. I can see that. I've had some beautiful moments playing the game, intense firefights, base raids that took half a day, worked out how to break into impossible bases, spent New Year's Eve chilling in the city with the lads shooting fireworks, good times. This is why it pains me after having so much investment to say this game is done. It had massive potential, but each and every step along the way they've taken the wrong step, hyperfixating on things no one cares about, removing elements people loved, making their game a joke with the toilet humour of 10-year-olds. The result is that not only people playing this game now are try-hard wannabe Navy SEALs and the absolute worst class of gamer bro. It's a shame. The new trailer just absolutely underlined the ridiculous tone they are going for and who they want to play the game. I doubt I'll ever check back, but maybe they'll go back into making a proper game. If you do give it a try and you're ever in C3, visit the statue and pour one out for Big Vern. Alright, at number 3 we have Broken Arrow. This is a large-scale, real-time modern warfare tactics game that combines the complexity of joint forces wargaming with action-packed real-time tactics gameplay. Currently $49.99 and had a peak player count of 38,000 and sitting at 73% positive. The developer is still Balalika. I think they are Russian based on where some of the promo stuff was from, but I can't confirm. The lead dev or creative director says they're based in France. There's a video where you see the creative director, but unfortunately none of the other devs. So the rest is a business development manager, senior producer, marketing manager. Where are the devs? I don't know. So I don't know how many's on the team. And I think they're Russian based, but again, I'm not sure. There's 3 members on LinkedIn, but again, I have no idea if that is correct or not. Looking at the reviews, so Thanatos with a positive. Broken Arrow is everything I secretly wish for as a wargame Red Dragon PvE player. It's a great game, especially now that they removed all restrictions for skirmish. Unit customization is fantastic, almost everything has upgrades, side grades, and you can even change soldiers' loadout as you see fit. Units, despite being limited in numbers, are effectively infinite. When destroyed, they will be available again after a cooldown. Low unit numbers also limit doom stacking. Almost all aspects of modern warfare are present and fleshed out. Transport units are extremely more flexible compared to Red Dragon. They can haul infantry, vehicles and supplies at the same time and can be called on or withdrawn as needed. Supplies can be moved around or even withdrawn from the battlefield with logistic vehicles. Workshop integration means a much better modding environment compared to Red Dragon, and judging from the game files, we will be able to mod in custom map scenarios and even units. The soundtrack is amazing, and from a purely PvE perspective, it's a solid 9 out of 10 already. For Chaos with a recommended, still good but desperately needs proper PvE elements such as friendly AI. It is not possible to play solo against the AI at the moment, but the devs did say that it will be added down the line. Why this wasn't added during the long development time is beyond me, but clearly they were catering to the multiplayer crowd and not even trying to listen to the PvE crowd. No surprise there, as the multiplayer crowd is always the most vocal and tends to not shut up. Blah blah blah. Still check out this game, it's worth it for a modern era RTS game with the knowledge that proper PvE and possibly future nations will be added down the line. Batten Boy with a negative. For solo play, the game is not worth it. You can't save mid-game if you want to quit, you have to restart everything, which is incredibly frustrating. I don't understand why they didn't include save or load option in single player mode. Some maps can take hours to finish. It's a real nightmare for solo players. And Mr. Atlas with a not recommended. As fun as this game is, I cannot in good faith say this game is fun for players who enjoy single player. If PvP is your thing, then go for it. However, if you're intending on playing this game for a good single player RTS, it's not there yet. AI practically cheat and get 400 times the amount of tickets as you, causing every engagement to turn in 1 infantry versus 2,000 tanks and planes with no chance of countering. Fix please. Alright, at number 2 we have Rematch. Control one player on your team and compete in fast-paced 5v5 matches from an intense third-person perspective. Team up with your friends and join the action. This is currently $29.99 and had a peak player count of 92,000. And sitting at a 78% positive. The developer is Slowclap, and they previously made Sifu, which was a third-person martial arts combat brawler. It's a John Wick simulator, some people call it, and also Absolver. This is from 2017. This is another action brawler. So Slowclap is an independent video game studio based in Paris. They were founded in 2015 and have around 80 employees. And this is the team here. Obviously end of year celebrations. Positive from Logic. Very fun game, except that teammates always think they're prime Ronaldo trying to dribble off 1v3 because passing is for losers. Go for shots being 40 meters away from the goal, resulting in a waste of possession and the enemy counter-attack. Spam good job whenever you make a mistake because they never do. Get the luckiest shots, but whenever I go for a goal, the enemy's goalkeeper becomes Prime Kagamaru. Don't defend at all and mark the enemy's goalkeeping waiting for a pass, leaving their defense to me. Score own goals if you don't pass the ball to them as soon as you get it. And have I mentioned never passing and going for the most obvious shots, because basically giving a pass to the enemy goalkeeper. In conclusion, very good game. Alright, Arbitties, the recommended. Fun game that really highlights the stupidity and selfishness of the average person. They all think they're Ronaldo, Messi, Drogba or whatever and are allergic to the concept of passing. Boomerang with a positive. Still some bugs, not concerning this early on. Game has also crashed on me 3 times in the 12 hours I played. My only real gripe is the only ranked game mode is 5v5. I only have a couple of friends to play with me, meaning if I want skill-based matchmaking, I have to put up with randoms. This game is death with people who don't know how it's supposed to be played. If you know, you know. For the love of God, please add ranked 3v3. Crow with a not recommended. I like this game a lot, but the fact it isn't an early access game and it's this half-baked for $30 is very surprising. There are so many small things in this game that could be added or tweaked to really bring this game to the next level, but way too bare bones for a full release $30 game. And they are already pushing microtransactions before even letting people change their controls. And Mint with a negative. Charging a box price and then instantly having expensive cosmetics to purchase is a joke. If you want to include battle passes and cosmetics from the start, I would suggest free to play. This game needs numbers and it seems like you're trying your best to stick a big fat wall in front of success. Be real. Alright, and at number 1 we have Peak. Peak is a co-op climbing game where the slightest mistake can spell your doom. Either solo or as a group of lost nature scouts, your only hope of rescue from a mysterious island is to scale the mountain at its center. Do you have what it takes to reach the peak? Currently $7.99, had a peak player count of 110,000. And sitting at 93% positive. That is huge. It is a dual developer, so Aggro Crab and Landfall have worked together. So Aggro Crab worked on Going Under, which is like a 3D action brawler, and Another Crab's Treasure, or Crab Souls, have people have called it. So Aggro Crab is an indie game studio based in Seattle. This is the team here. It's a team of 12. And this is from their site. And then we have Landfall Games. Landfall have released a bunch of games, so Cluster Truck, Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, Rounds. They released Haste, which came out a few weeks ago. So this is Cluster Truck, sort of like a physics-based, speedrun game. And Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, it's like a sandbox game. And they are also a team of 12 from Sweden. Small studio, staying small, makes physics games, also doing other games, sometimes funny. Based in Sweden, founded in 2015. And this is the group here. The best way to explain it is basically just to play this.
So our new game Peak is made together with Aggro Crab, the studio behind games like Another Crab's Treasure and Going Under. And many people have asked why we decided to make this collab. We met some of the Aggro Crab team back in 2022 at the Game Developer Conference. Aggro Crab is based in Seattle, and that year they came and visited us in Sweden, where we celebrated Midsummer together. And they've come to visit us every year since. So then last year at Midsummer, we had just released our game Content Warning, which was made during a game jam during 1 month in South Korea. And some of the Aggro Crab team decided that sounded like a cool idea and they wanted to do it again with us. So this year we did another 1 month long game jam together in February, and we ended up making our co-op climbing game Peak. In the month since, we've been working on the game alongside our other projects. In the last week or two, they've been in Sweden together with us to finish it, and we finally released it the other day. It's been a super duper fun process working with another team, and it seems like a lot of people are really excited about the game.
Right, so that gives you, way better explanation. So it's just the result of a game jam, super awesome, and it's turned into this massive success. It's really cool. Alright, so Sofarina with a positive, not even €5, and honestly already one of my favourite co-op memories. We were laughing the entire time, helping each other up, failing together, blaming everyone for everything, and somehow still surviving long enough to see the new biomes. The game's brutal, but not in a bad way. It makes every little win feel like a miracle. It's janky, but in that charming, let's do more, one more run kind of way. And the map changes every day, so there's always something new to mess up. Untracker with a positive, this is a great game, a breath of fresh air and full of personality. I went into it blind with 3 other friends and we played for almost 4 hours straight, laughing the whole time. It's got some weird physics, but you get used to them fairly quickly, and after that you really get sucked in. You start with a full bar of energy that gets lower and lower as you build up status conditions like hunger, injuries, poison, sleep and more. There's a ton of wacky and fun items found in suitcases, and even cooler rare items in shrines if everyone in your party stays alive. There's a surprising element of strategy to this game too. We had each person in charge of a different backpack full of things. The game is fun and the price is a steal. Negative from Fishman Fry. The gameplay is really fun, especially for the price. However, there are a lot of bugs. The most intolerable one is super frequent random disconnection of players. They can rejoin, but they'll have no items and will be far from the team, which kills the fun. If the bugs get fixed, I would definitely recommend this game. And Negative with a negative. The timed fog wall that chases and kills you absolutely ruins the chill vibes. I don't need or want the extra stamina or assist from easy mode, but I also don't want to be rushed through my playthrough. Climbing and exploring is really fun, but I have no idea why you put an arbitrary time limit on that. Alright, so these were the top 10 games released on Steam for week 25, sorted by peak player count, or which games had the most players. I've also included here the location of the dev team, the team size, the title obviously, and then the price. So the top 3 games by peak player count was Peak with 110,000, Rematch with 92,000, and then Broken Arrow with 38,000. We then have the same 10 games, so just the top 10 by peak player count of those games which had the most interest or had the most follows. So number 1 was SCUM with 428,488. Broken Arrow was second with 119,000, and Rematch was 100,000. And then those same top 10 games by peak player count of those which had the highest player rating, or which of them were actually good. So the top 3 were Tower Wizard with 93%, Peak with 91%, and then Cast and Chill with 89%. And this is basically an overall summary. So we've got the location of the dev team, team size, the average price of $23, the user rating score average of 80, the number of follows average, and the peak player count average for the week, which was 31,000. So that was the top games released on Steam week 25, 16th to the 22nd of June. See you later.